I've talked all the time.
Well, it's funny. I've heard your story since the beginning, and you know something? It was just such a wonderful story to hear. You
Yes, she
know,
is.
yeah, she's coming. She just got in her office, so there she is.
Yes, she is. The
But
love of my life. Sorry, Michael.
Well, it's great. It's great to meet you guys, though, because, like I said, you know, Judy's just
So,
told so many stories about your journey, and it's just like amazing. And I'm so happy you got the baby. It's great.
oh yeah. I mean, we had our whole family here this weekend, and it's just so funny that we're out to dinner this weekend, and everybody comes up to us and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what a beautiful baby!" And they go, "Gosh, he looks just like Michael." And we're like, "Yeah, he does."
Yes, absolutely, he does. It's amazing. It's amazing.
My
But he has
mother,
your smile. I think he has your smile.
he's got his eyes and his smile, but it's
And the
just
coloring.
funny.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. Oh yeah.
Oh my
Well, I
God.
tell you, with Judy, Lindsay is still convinced half the time she forgets that she's adopted, and what winds up happening is she's like, Mom, and I have. Oh, that's right, and they forget. It's so funny.
Oh my God. It's so good to
So,
see you guys.
so good to see you, my gorgeous. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you guys?
So just so you know, Fritz is sleeping. I don't know how much time we have.
Okay, all
You
right.
guys should catch
Judy,
up.
I'll call you
This
later.
is like
You,
we're
the
like
voice of
down.
reason.
This is
Oh
our
no! If
first.
he wakes up, bring him out. I want to see him.
Definitely.
Wonderful. So yeah, let's yeah, go through our questions and we have more time at the end to chat.
Okay, I'm recording, so we're good.
Fantastic.
Okay, I just want to, sorry. No. How do I change the view?
It's okay.
Okay, fine. Sorry. Sorry, everyone. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I hate this machine. That application myself makes me crazy.
So we will
What I
redact out if you accidentally refer to each other, instead of my husband, Michael or Heather, we'll redact out the names, so there won't be any names in the
Okay.
recording. Don't worry about it. We'll remove it. Harry will do his magic and he'll remove all the names. So could you please share with us how long you struggled with infertility, what treatments you went through, and what was the physical and emotional toll it took on you and your family?
Sure. Okay. So, hi. I'm fine to use my name. So, hi, my name is Heather. My husband and I had been struggling with fertility for over 10 years. We did several rounds of IUI and IVF, and unfortunately did not have success. We were planning to have a regular adoption, but we just weren't having much luck. And one day, my wonderful social worker came to me and told me about embryo adoption. I had never heard of it. Michael had never heard of it. And we almost didn't think this is real. We thought, we is this possibility? And I was put in touch with Elena, and we got the ball rolling. And within 3 months, it was like everything was happening so quick, and we couldn't believe it. The biggest thing that was very important for us for a regular adoption was that somebody would potentially be carrying our child, and we didn't have as much control over you know what that person was taking, if that person was going to the doctor. So the fact that with embryo adoption, that control was all in our hands, and I was going to be carrying the baby. And it was something that I wanted to experience. I wanted to know what it was like to be pregnant, and I wanted to know what it felt like to have a baby. I can't say enough how embryo adoption has changed our lives.
And Heather, I understand you mentioned your social worker, you didn't learn about this from your OBGYN or your fertility doctor from your fertility clinic. No one.
No.
No. And funny enough, when I did get a positive pregnancy test with my fertility doctor, who thankfully was referred to me by you, Elena, when I went to my OBGYN, they had never heard of this before. They could not understand how I had an embryo that somebody had not given to me, like a friend or a family member, that I adopted an embryo. It blew their minds. And even throughout the process of going to doctor's appointments and meeting more sonogram people and telling them that, oh yeah, I adopted an embryo, they took a minute. They're like, no, so like a family friend gave you it? No, I adopted an embryo. It's not enough people know about this, because I think if they did, people would be doing this way quicker. I know we would have done this way faster if we knew we had this option.
Mhm. Can you describe a little bit your process going through embryo donation, if you still remember the steps, how long it took each step, so our viewers have expectations about the timeline. Nowadays, with Amazon two-day delivery, I think a lot of people expect, receive an embryo, within few days. So I think it's understand that couples understand that it takes time, that it's a process, and there are multiple parties involved. So you want to set realistic expectations about the
I'm gonna
timeline.
let Michael answer that question because I love to talk.
No, I think look, I think the whole process for us, we had to be really patient, and that included the whole IVF, the IUI, and I think we had a lot of going back and that experience in those 10 years. It was a lot of like emotional ups and downs, like a roller coaster, I guess, if you will. So I think by the time that we came into this opportunity, we were very we were patient. We just it was almost like we didn't know what to believe anymore. So we were like, well, might as well try, see what happens. So I think, we came in pretty patient, just not having huge expectations, but then every step along the way was like, oh wow, this is really happening. And I think overall, we were pleased with the speed, but there's obviously there's different elements to this process than the other things that we had gone through, especially like the legal process, the paperwork, and that takes some time. I think for us, the profiling went fairly quickly. I think we were lucky.
We were very lucky.
But I know that can take some time too to find the perfect match. And look, at the end of the day, I think things happen the way they're supposed to happen. So, our time was more on the front end, and then I think things they progressed very quickly, and of course the contract, like I said, the contract process went a little longer than we had anticipated, but I think that's just normal, and that was maybe specific to our case. But I think everyone's going to have a little bit of a different journey. But to be patient and positive, I think is like the only thing you can do. I think there's, you just got to follow along. And Elena, you were so helpful for us because I think, you have questions. You're like, is it supposed to take this long? Should we be concerned? Should we go back to looking at another profile? Right. And then, you were great in just giving us updates like, no, this is normal part of the process. And I think having someone to kind of lean on during that process to kind of give you comfort is really, really
We just didn't know
important.
what to expect.
And no one else has gone through it that we know of. So you don't have someone else outside, like a family member or something, to lean on in this process, right? So it's important, you provided such a great service in that way too, that, was really helpful.
Well, thank you for your kind words. Greatly appreciate this. How many embryos did you receive from the donor family? And could you describe your frozen embryo transfer process, how you prepared for it, the day you received the pregnancy test result, the ultrasounds?
So we received 2 embryos from our amazing donor. We decided to do 1. We were almost thinking of like, do we do twins? No. So we did 1 embryo. We still have 1 embryo frozen. I went to Sheer Fertility that you referred me to, and they could not have been more incredible. They were incredible. The whole process was pretty much like going to see a fertility doctor as if you were going to do IVF. They run all the tests. They make sure that your uterus is thick enough. And, listen, any woman out there who's gone through this process, they know that with all of the injections and the medications, it's not fun. And you don't know if it's going to work, right? Because that's the biggest fear, is that you're like, am I going through this again? And it's not going to work. It's always that fear that lies inside of you. But I believe that I did my transfer on March 28th. And 10 days later, I went in to have my blood work done. And, we were bracing ourselves that, like, okay, if it doesn't work, still got one more embryo. That would be amazing. But lo and behold, I'll never forget. We got that embryo, we got the pregnancy test, and we were like, wait, I'm sorry, did you say positive? Because we had never gotten a positive test before. So we were just like, did you say positive? And they were like, yes, positive. And you want so much more emotion with the lab technician that you're like, is this real? Can you believe this? And they were like, follow up with your fertility doctor. And I was like, okay. And then I believe 10 days later, we went in to see our doctor. And, we were still not even believing it really, and did the scan. And he's like, okay, everything's looking good. Then I don't remember how many weeks it was later when we went in and heard the heartbeat. And that was just,
Yeah, that was like the moment that it was real, was when there's a little pee in there, but there's a strong, strong heartbeat. I guess every parent goes through that, but that was for us. That was like the moment of like, wow, this is
this is
real.
happening.
This is happening. So that was special. Never forget that.
Oh, wonderful. And how was your pregnancy, Heather? Could you describe your pregnancy and the delivery? How you
Honestly, my pregnant, if you would have asked me this while I was pregnant, I'd be like, oh gosh, oh. But there's this amazing thing that happens with women in pregnancy. You forget all of that. It's otherwise you wouldn't have another one, right? But I have to say, my pregnancy was amazing. I felt great. Aside from ridiculous acid reflux, it was easy peasy. You just can't imagine. I kind of feel bad for men in this way, is that you just can't imagine what it feels like with this child growing inside of you, the kicks and the everything going on. It's amazing. Our son was breech, so I had to have a scheduled C-section, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of thrilled he was C-section. I healed great. The whole process was so so easy. I only can wish for other families out there, other women, to have such an amazing experience like we did.
So wonderful to hear. So you have this one embryo left. What are your thoughts about it? Are you planning to have a second child, or
We're like a band that hasn't announced retirement yet, but we're not sure. So we'll see what happens with the rest of this tour, and then we'll
Yeah.
decide.
Yeah, but
We'll decide if we're going to continue on tour or have our last show.
yeah, we're not
We're not
sure.
sure.
We're not sure, but
But we're going to decide soon, because we're not spring chickens
yeah,
any longer. But he's kept us on our toes, which is a good thing.
yeah.
So yeah, we have to figure that one out.
Figure that one out. And as we would love to have another one, because I kind of feel like the first time I was pregnant, I was so in shock that I never really got to enjoy a lot of it, because I was so worried. That I feel like a second one, I would be able to like go through and be like, oh, this is okay, and this is fine, and no big deal. But what I'm forgetting is I would at this point have another child running around. But we're still deciding. We're still deciding.
Absolutely. And there is a plan for this embryo. So if you decide not to use the embryo, what's going to happen with the embryo?
Yeah, so the plan is that the embryo would go back to the donor, for another family to have the same great opportunity we had. So there's no negative at any with the process.
He gave us this amazing opportunity, and if he wants to make the decision who that embryo should go to, we are absolutely fine with that because another family should get this wonderful experience that we have.
Absolutely. And your donor had quite a few embryos, so other families have been matched. So how many siblings do you have? Uh,
I think including the donor, I think it's a total right now. I think it's a total of 4 or 5, right?
Yeah,
4 or 5 siblings.
Mm.
But yeah,
He
but
has 4 siblings as of right now. We have another one, so so he has 4 siblings as of right now.
as far as we know.
As far as we know.
in three different families, because the donor has 2 kids, right?
Right.
So
Correct.
there's
Right.
one
Correct.
child in one family and one
Yeah, I
child.
think there's one in Ohio, maybe in California is maybe the other. So it's a service that, provides across the country. You know,
And we
Right.
did sign an agreement that at the age of 21, all the siblings would be able to meet one another. We're fine with that. Uh, our son knows that we're his parents. And I think that it's a little bit of a gray area, right? Because a lot of people don't understand it. Quite frankly, we don't know how we'll handle it. But we will be open from day one when our son knows about we adopted him as an embryo. I just think it's really important to be as truthful from day one so everybody understands. I don't think that it will affect him in any sort of way, but I don't know. And families out there can make their own decision how they want to handle it. I
Do you have-
remember actually, Elena, you told me about this amazing book that I still need to get, and it was like the pea pod, or I still that's supposed to be an amazing book to kind of help you guide, how to explain it to a child.
Yeah, there are quite a few books written about IVF, IVF process in general, and there are a lot of kids, apologize, born with the help of a sperm donor or an egg donor or a double donors in this case. So by the time your child is old enough, for you to read all those books, there will be even more books written
I'm
for
sure.
children. So there's a lot of help there to navigate that conversation. Absolutely, that's wonderful. So what type of donation did you choose? Is it anonymous or open? Do you know the
it's
name and address of your
open.
It's open.
Yeah, we have contact with the donor. We provide updates. But also what's amazing too, we were actually just talking about this. He provides updates too, which he doesn't have to do, of their family, which is nice.
Yeah.
So it's really a two-way um relationship. I think it makes it a little bit easier that way. You're just really just sharing updates with a family member.
Yeah.
And it's, once or twice a year, and it's more just curiosity. And obviously in the beginning you're like wondering why, but then it's all a really good reason.
And I also think that it was, we wanted to do open too, because if God forbid there was a health issue or
Right.
something, we wanted to be able to get in touch with our donor and ask questions. Did his
Yep.
children have this problem? Just it's good to have medical information, especially when you need it the most.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, that's wonderful. So what do you wish you knew when you started embryo donation journey? You already mentioned you wish you knew earlier,
I
the
was just about to say,
intent in
I
your-
wish I knew sooner. I mean, by now we would have had 4 kids.
You're ambitious,
Yeah.
Heather.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wish we knew about it much sooner. I feel like even though we weren't able to biologically use my egg, it doesn't make our son any less of our son. He looks like my husband. He acts like my husband. He's just one of us, I
Well, our
just wish.
experience too was also we went through some really very. I mean, we had a scenario where when we were in the adoption process, we got a call, and they said, "Okay, there's a baby going to be born in the next 48 hours. the
You need to make a
mother
decision, really.
is, you know, sick, strapped down in a mental institution. You have to decide now, do you want the child? And it's like, whoa, we don't know how to handle that, you know. And of course, we get a doctor, and the doctor's like, we can't really give you advice, you know, you have to make that call. And it's, these are just such difficult scenarios to kind of maneuver and figure out. And you know, when, and then coming into working with you, everything was so,
Perfect.
yeah, I mean, for us it was, you know, and I know that's not always going to be everybody's case, but for
No,
us it
it's not.
was. And I think it's because the process was very organized, it was very open, it was very honest. And it is because it's so new, you know, you're not you're like, whoa, is this really how this works, right? And I think you just did a great job just kind of outlining and walking us through step by step what needed to be done. And so again, compared to the stuff that we had gone through, this was like,
Yeah.
this was so easy. So I would say if what we've known before, yes, sooner, but also that, well, you haven't got to go through the process yourself to know how easy it is. But had we known it was so much easier, I think it would save us a little stress. But
Yeah. A
yeah,
lot.
yeah, that's it. I mean, other than
And
that,
I remember at one
great.
point that, you know, I believe we started working together in August. And by October, maybe even September, you had found us our donor. And I remember us looking at each other going, is this like it? Like, this is it? I mean, we had waited 4 years to adopt a child, and here we were within like 6 weeks of working with you. It was like, this is it? Like, this is really it.
Mm.
And it was real. I hope every family has that, you know, experience that it went so smoothly. The contract is grueling, you know, but you have to make sure that you're protecting yourself and you're, you know, doing the right things that are for your family. And
Well, I think what's important to know is I don't think, and Elena, you're obviously the professional here, but I don't think every contract's gonna be different depending on the donor and the things that they want to see. So it's not like a standard contract that is blanketed. It's going to be very specific to the needs and the wants of the donor and their expectations. So there
yeah,
may be things in there that you're like, whoa. And a lot of it could be based on religious background, or could be based on, you know, where they live in the country and the rules that are in place by the state. So there's a lot of moving pieces. It's not just a blanket. So that's what you have to understand when you're going through the process, is you have to work within those and find middle ground, you know, which is, you know, and middle ground's always possible. I think it just might take a little time to get there.
So there are multiple major steps in this process, and you were lucky. We had this perfect donor for you right away, so you were matched relatively quickly. Your intuition is correct. Not every family is being matched that quickly. Sometimes this is the lengthiest process, the matching phase. And then most of our donors just use our template, but your donor decided to hire an attorney and write a customized.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And that's what made it lengthier and more complex. It won't be, you know, most people, I would say 90% of the families just use the template. Sometimes it takes a weekend to sign and notarize it and move forward
A
with
bit
this
longer,
process.
but I mean, it was fine. Everybody, us and our donor, agreed at the end of the day on everything, and you know, it all was fine. It just takes some time to work out the details.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all in this for the same reason.
Yeah.
So it's just the little details, but you know, nothing that can't be.
So let's finish with your experience as parents. So how it's been? Are you enjoying it? Is it challenging?
Yeah, we love
Yeah.
it.
I mean, we love it. You know, we're tired a lot of the time, but you know, every day he does something different. And it's just so incredible to see that, you know, we're seeing him now as he's like processing and thinking, right? Where he's like eating things and he's picking it up and he's smelling it and he's like, okay, I like it, and he'll eat it. And, you know, I mean, our son has been smiling since the day he came out of the womb, but he's just so happy. He smiles all the time. He laughs all the time. It's just incredible.
Yeah, and I think I think he was 8 years. He was
Yeah.
in storage, and I think every day I look at him and I'm like, to have this opportunity to give this boy a life and in a great home.
A great life.
And that's just the
He's
most,
got a pretty sweet
that's
life.
like the magical part to it, I think, which makes it a bit different than having a child yourself. I don't know, there's this element of like such a wonderful thing to give life.
We can't
I
thank
I
our
look at
donor
him
enough.
every day, and I don't know, I think about it. It's great.
Magic, it's
It's awesome.
magical.
And there's definitely sleepless nights, and there was a panic when he had a cold once that we were like, oh my God, what do we do? And we're like, okay, calm down. It's gonna be
Normal,
fine.
normal first parent stuff.
Normal first parent
All good
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
All good stuff.
And experiencing every first time thing, like the first time we took him swimming, the first time we took him to the beach, now we've got the first Halloween, and it's just every first is so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's also
he's
so
standing
exciting.
now. He's standing
yeah.
now, so
But it's also so
that's
exciting for
exciting.
our families. Like
Yeah.
our families, like I feel like they walk through, the doors of our house and don't even say hi to us. They just go straight to him. And we're like, oh, good to
Well, I
see
think
ya.
everyone in our family kind of gave up that we were going to
Yeah.
have a kid because they were like, oh, they've tried everything. It's not going to happen. So I think our whole family, he's really like the center of the
He's the
family.
golden child. He's the golden
Yeah.
child.
Our nieces, our nephews, and because they're a little older now, so it's like having a fresh life in the family. It's like you can't put a price on it.
Yeah,
It's-
everybody wants to be there Christmas morning, and we're like, okay.
yeah. Yeah.
What costume did you get him for Halloween?
He's gonna be a dragon.
Amazing.
I mean, we
Very-
were gonna do a Game of Thrones theme, but
Yeah,
I
we're
don't.
gonna do a whole family costume.
I
Don't
don't-
give up hope. We're still gonna do
We
it.
so we haven't bought ours yet, but we
I'm
yeah,
deliver in record speed time.
that's true. That's true.
Amazing. Oh, what a great idea. Oh, it's a pleasure meeting you again and seeing you so happy.
Oh.
Good to see
Me
you.
too. Oh,
So good to see you. And also, Elena, this goes without saying that, if you ever have a family out there that would want to talk one-on-one with me, always feel free to know that I'm happy to talk to anyone you need me to talk to. I've said throughout this journey, after I've, done all of this, that if there is just one family, one person that's on the fence, and if I can help them and let them know how amazing experience this is, I gotta help one person. If I can help 20, even better, but like at least one, at least.
I'm sure, Heather, you helped a lot of, but thank you for letting me know, because sometimes I do speak, we have this Zoom onboarding meeting and they ask me, oh, can you connect us with someone so we can talk, have a phone call.
Always.
Just to reassure themselves it's real, it will
Yeah,
happen.
Yeah,
and
like you're
maybe.
not just selling embryos over the internet. Like, no, that doesn't happen here.
Maybe.
No.
Soon on Amazon.
At Amazon. Yeah. But
Yeah.
but please always contact me if you wanted me to jump on a Zoom with a family, if you want
The
to.
phone call, I'll ask you before, via text message.
Absolutely. Yeah, just
Or
shoot me a
email if
text and
needed.
I'm happy to jump on for whatever you need.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
I feel like sometimes I'm too much of a great story for all of this, because I know we had an incredible adoption, right? I mean, our donor and our son, everything couldn't be more perfect. And I know that I don't want to sugarcoat it too much for them, because there's other, donors that it's a little bit different.
Absolutely, yeah. Your donors were perfect, both graduate degrees, perfect health history, there various
I
cases.
mean, our son has got probably better genes than we have.
Well, we laugh because in his height so far, he's like 97th percentile in length. he's huge, and so everyone in my family laughs. He's going to be the tallest Hubacher ever. 'Cause, my family's like, maxes out at like 5'10", 5'11". So,
Yeah.
um,
We think he's gonna be like 6 something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Our doctor keeps saying like, "Wow, he's big."
Yeah.
I just want to say that the words you just said before of if I can just help one person, that's how my life has always been the moment I adopted
Yeah.
Lindsay. It was, I remember turning to them and just saying, if I could just help one person who thinks this could never happen,
Right.
become a parent and look at what the next 40 years of my life brought. So yes, you will mention this to that one
Yeah.
person.
I
And
mean,
that one person will say it to another one person. And before you know it, you have started an avalanche.
Well,
I just,
you
that's
did
what
that to us, Judy. I mean,
you
you
did,
gave us
yeah.
you gave us hope. We were done. We were like, you
I
know
know.
what? We'll just be the best aunts and uncles and friends,
dog.
and we'll get another dog,
another
and we'll
dog.
have a great life, and we'll travel, and you find the reason to go on without it, without having a family. We just were like, okay, we have other things we can do, and then you gave us that hope again. We were done. We were like, nah, it's just not to be. But
Also, I think too that there was like so many times that we were let down, right? So it was like 1 IUI didn't work, 2 IUIs. I mean, 15 IUIs didn't work, 3 IVFs didn't work. When this came around, I was like, I don't know if I can mentally handle another letdown. Like, I don't know if this doesn't work, this could crush me, right? Like, this really could crush me. And lo and behold, it worked. But I mean, I remember, Judy, when you called me and told me about this, I was like, wait, so who's going to carry the baby? And you were like, you are. And I was like, oh, me?
I remember that.
I was in Costco and I'm like, wait, Judy, I'm very confused. Who carries the baby? And you're like,
we,
you do. And I was
we have
like,
had some fun conversations along,
oh, yeah.
and that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. And then like, I think what I guess we didn't really realize is the fact of like my eggs were probably not good. And, like no fertility doctor ever gave me the answer. They just said to me, so do you want to do another round of IVF? And I was like, yes, I don't know, but lo
I
and
mean,
behold,
we all know it's big business.
yeah.
And that's what it is. I mean,
Absolutely.
you always hear like, major diseases, they never want to cure it. They just want to keep you on
Absolutely.
medication your whole life. And that's
Yeah.
where the money is, right? And if you look at where the money is, it's, they want you to do 15 IUIs and 20 IVFs and,
Keep it going. Keep
know,
writing the checks,
and
you know.
we know we've spent
Well,
firsthand.
Yeah.
Well, also, as you well know, even comparing this to a normal, typical adoption, which is way more expensive than this process is,
Yes.
God.
Yes.
and a higher risk in a lot of ways, at least emotionally and mentally,
Yes.
because you don't know what you're going to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is.
when we found the adoption agency that a friend of ours used and, couldn't speak highly enough about them, we used this adoption agency.
Yep.
We wrote them a check for $10,000. All we got was this birth mother who was in a psychiatric ward, and they were like, do you want this baby? And we were like, what? Oh,
Yeah, I mean, we also, the timing was strange because it was also during COVID.
Yeah.
So things kind of changed very quickly, and then also the main individual that we were going to work with retired, right? So
yeah.
so our scenario was just, again, it was a lot of it was just a little bit of bad luck
Yeah.
throughout.
And it's so funny. I don't even think about that anymore because it's like, oh, this brought us to this point, right?
Right.
Like
I mean,
it
and
all
that's
worked the way it was supposed to
Right.
work because we were
were
supposed to meet you,
Yeah.
Elena, and I was supposed to we were supposed to meet this. It all just works out the way it's supposed
Yeah.
to be. Like the path is the path, and that's the way it's supposed to be. I just wish that somebody tells you about that, so they're like, don't stress.
Even if you tell someone not to stress, they're still going to stress.
I know.
Human nature. But yeah, it's true. Why everything happens when it's meant to happen, the way it's meant to happen.
Yeah,
And when you keep trying to spin your wheels in a direction you're not really meant to go in, there's always an obstacle.
I know.
And it was just a matter of waiting until, for whatever reason, Elena found me.
I know. I
For me
know.
to learn about this and for me to do the training things so that then as I'm doing them, I'm thinking of who can I apply this to? You guys came to mind and I'm thinking, oh God, I hope they say yes, because I have mentioned this to anybody who's been waiting a long time and has not been successful, and nobody has taken me up on this yet except you.
But
And I just want to
no.
shake them and say, do you understand this is the answer to this particular problem?
So
And
we
it's
were
frustrating.
talking a few weeks ago, Judy, and I was like, so how many people have you referred? And you were like, oh, you can go, oh, you get to meet Fritz now. So I just can't believe that people aren't jumping on board like hotcakes with this.
They're
Because
afraid. They're afraid.
but what are they afraid of? Because our biggest fear was like, oh, I'm not having this baby, and then you're taking the baby away from me. What are they afraid? Is that what they're afraid of?
No, they're afraid of the success, I think. My personal feeling is they're afraid of succeeding at a goal that they've been working for maybe 10 or 15 years towards, because then what? Some people can't handle that. It's really interesting to watch how people process this and the disappointment and the
Don't understand.
fear of moving forward sometimes. Some people, like when you say, how can anyone stay in a bad relationship? Because they're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of not knowing what's the next step coming towards them when they're used to the pain or they're used to the
But I just feel
disappointment.
like if somebody out there like me who has done all these IVFs and IUIs and did all of this, clearly they want to have a baby. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't put yourself through all of this unless you really wanted to have a baby. Um, I don't know. I guess I just can't imagine it. And like Elena, how many families are you working with right now? Like,
I would say in any particular given moment, we have about 50 donor families and 50 recipient families. So it's a constant stream. Judy, maybe you're not aware. Maybe some people you spoke with
Very
didn't come to us. We just didn't realize that they were coming from you.
There he is. Say hi to everybody. Hi, everybody.
Oh my God, it got so big.
There's Judy.
Hi. Hi, sweetie.
Oh, I love this. I love this.
And there's Elena. Do you want to show me your tootsies?
You have tootsies. Oh,
Oh.
two here.
He's got two here, but he's got two real biggies coming out of there. Don't you, bud?
Yeah, what do these? You're gonna eat meat and salami soon, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Salami.
Tickle,
Oh,
tickle.
you're such a big boy now. You're such a big boy
Doesn't
now.
he look just like Michael, Judy?
Yeah, so
I mean, I
perfect.
sent Judy pictures,
He's-
but she's never seen him lifetime.
He's way
Oh my
better.
God, he's gotten so big. I can't get over how much he's changed.
He's huge.
He's
You need
huge.
to take out a
I love
second
this
working
page.
just to feed him.
What do you
Oh
think?
my God.
Hi.
How you
All of
doing?
these people made it possible, Fritzy.
And you just woke up and you're this happy? My goodness.
Yeah. Usually
Right.
when you hear him kind of screaming around in his crib and you go in there and you like stick your head in, he's like,
He's like, I'm awake, everybody.
yeah.
He's so cute. Oh,
Oh, what a
he's smiling. He's smiling.
He's got your smile, Heather.
You think?
I think his eyes look like yours when he smiles. Yeah.
I think he's all Michael. All Michael. Like even our family is still convinced that like they were like, but maybe Michael's sperm also got in there. We're like, no, it's science doesn't work like that, guys. I'm sorry,
Say yes. Make it happen.
It's
Absolutely right. That sperm managed to work all the way through
Oh,
this
maybe.
embryo that was already formed, but okay.
I know. So Elena, you have 50 families right now you're working with, donors and adopting recipients.
Yes, yeah. So it's a, I would say it's a medium size operation. So we're still growing. So we're going to Denver in a few days. There's a fertility clinic. So we're gonna have a booth there and talk to OBGYNs, talk to fertility clinics, tell your patients, raise awareness. Don't
I
forget to
mean, those I mean, not the fertility clinic, the OBGYN. Well, no, I guess it is fertility clinics too,
both,
because
both,
the
yeah.
first fertility clinic I went to, RMA, wouldn't do it. I didn't want to mention that on our thing because I don't want to just, you know,
Yeah.
discourage other families, but RMA would not do it. They waited 3 months to tell me. And then that's when you sent me to Sheer Fertility and Dr. Toratelli. He was like, oh yeah, no brainer. Yeah, I got this. And I was like, so you'll do it? And he was like, yeah, why not? And I was like,
Oh, you have a
oh,
hoop.
oh, gotcha.
You have a hoop. Say goodbye,
But then
Fritzy.
say goodbye, Fritzy.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for
Bye.
listening to us.
Bye. Thank you so much for saying hi to us. Oh, look at those. Look at
But
those.
then when I went to my OBGYN, they were the first OBGYN that I really used to go to like every year and been with them for like 5 years. They wouldn't do it. They were like, this is too much risk. And also it could have been my age, right? Because I was 47 at the time and they were worried I was high risk, and I was high risk. But there's not enough fertility clinics and OBGYNs that don't know about this. But it's like, you don't know if the fertility clinic doesn't want to do this because they're making their money off of IVF.
Right.
Right?
So
Like,
I think there are multiple reasons. It's also they have their SOPs, standard operating procedures. Sort of, they're also afraid of FDA finding, because these donors, they're not, when they came to IVF to create these embryos, they were not screened, with the full FDA panel.
right.
Went through just shorter, major things like, hepatitis B, HIV. So they're worried sometimes they don't have procedures in place, and they're worried that it potentially, FDA will not be happy with them if they get audited. So there are
Right.
multiple reasons. Some clinics have those procedures in place, so they just, everything is approved, they follow them. So sometimes they just, lazy, they don't want to put together one
Yeah.
extra consent form for you to sign, and
So
then
ridiculous.
so it's just like some more patient oriented and some more like how make our life easier and make more money. So
Yeah.
there's quite a variability. It's funny that you mentioned there are maybe actually quite a few donors from them. So we
Really?
look them closely, but we don't have recipients, but their donors come to us. And then we talk to
Unbelievable.
them on
So
getting.
here's the other thing that happened to me at RMA. I went to RMA and they were like, oh, we don't know. We're going to have to think about this. I have to run it through the board and it has to be approved by the board. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, but also just so you know, like my embryos have had all genetic testing and all of this was done and, so on and so forth. And then they called me 3 months later, which I'm like, the clock is ticking, people. I want to get moving. 3 months later, they were like, we're so sorry. We're not going to be able to do your embryo transfer. But if you'd like to discuss options with us with some of our embryos, we can discuss that. And I was like, I wasn't going to do it, but I was like, for shits and giggles, what is the price starting at? They're like, well, starts anywhere from 90,000 to 200,000. And I was like, go fuck yourself.
What? Oh my
I
God.
was like, so you won't use my embryo that I have, but you're trying to sell me another embryo. No.
Yeah.
I know, right, Judy?
That infuriates me.
I know. I know.
So infuriates me. It's all about the freaking money.
It is all about the freaking money,
And insurance and liability.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It burns me so
I
bad.
know. But you know what? Like, hopefully people go to the right place, somehow get into embryo adoption. Like, Elena, other than what is so Sheer Fertility knew about that other, I don't know what it was called. But Dr. T, my fertility doctor, worked with another sort of charity with embryo adoption. And he was like, Project Snowflake or something like this.
Mhm.
Yeah. Other than you guys and Project Snowflake, is there any other embryo adoption out there?
There is some of them are based on the fertility clinic, so you need to fly to them to travel.
Oh, I
And
see.
they have, I think, in Tennessee. So it's a donation program and a fertility clinic. So they will not ship embryos to you. You need to come to
You have
them.
to go to them.
Embryo Connection is a good one. They're very similar to us. They're secular, non-Christian based, and they would ship the embryos to your clinic. They don't have partner clinics. Usually it's based on a fertility clinic, and you need to travel, and with cost, you take a vacation, you need to
Yeah. I mean,
hotel.
I was lucky that they shipped them to New York, so I just, did everything here.
So there are a few other agencies like ours, and we all differ a little bit how we match and operate. But most of the agencies are Christian-based
Yeah.
agencies.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I
So-
noticed that too, that they were like Christian based.
And they prioritize, for example, donors. For example, if you went with Snowflakes, you on board, you create your profile, and then you wait until sort of like in traditional adoption.
you wait until
And the
somebody comes
donor chooses you, and and you can wait another 6-12 months and hear from just one donor family. So we like to empower our recipients. So we first show donor profiles to the recipients.
Find donors.
Oh, we recruit through social media, Google Ads, Microsoft Ads. So we run, variety of tools to recruit.
Wow.
It reminds me a
Now
lot.
clinics refer into us too. Mhm.
It reminds me a lot of when adoption started to boom back in the day, and little mom and pop agencies were popping up all over the place because nobody liked working with the big ones because it was so impersonal and blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. And then there were hundreds of them everywhere. And it was like, it was just amazing to see how the whole process was word of mouth that started to just sprout out. And I think
Yeah.
it's going to happen here as long as politics don't get in the way. Because
Yeah.
right now we're at such a crossroads politically in this country, you don't know how any of that might affect this process and the morals and the beliefs across different parts of the country.
Well, if they stop doing IVF, families who are doing IVF, that just ends their hopes. And then people like us that are going to adopt an embryo, well, there goes our chance,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where people have to start opening up their mouths.
Yeah.
People have to let people know this is a very viable alternative to building a family that is healthy and safe and
Yes.
monitored. And, all these other safeguards are in place so that everybody's rights are ensured, including the right of the embryo. So therefore, I think it's word of mouth. I think it's a matter of getting it out there
Yeah.
in terms of just,
That's why, Alina,
blasting.
anytime you want me to talk to somebody, please.
You
And
are the one.
same goes for you. I mean, if you ever like have somebody who's like, I don't know, whatever, you can always call me and be like, I have somebody who's done it. If you want to talk to her, feel
Trust
free.
me, I already knew that. I knew that. I know.
I like to talk.
No, really?
It's a beautiful story.
I'm guilty of that.
Oh my gosh, guys, it was so good to see you today. I don't think that me,
So
Alina,
beautiful.
and Judy have been on the same Zoom, yet we've spent so much time together.
This is the first time the three of us were together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
You look
Like-
so beautiful and so radiant. I cannot believe that you're tired and sleep deprived, Heather.
I mean, oh my God. You know what? I had a good night's sleep last night, and he's sleeping through the night, but he's getting up at 6:30, and 6:30 is just like whew, crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
in the evening, you need to make the choice.
No, 6:30 is not normal timing. 7:30 is normal timing.
Yeah, in the evening, like, do I want to spend time with Michael and watch a movie, or
I know.
go to bed?
It's so funny. We put him down at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we get to bed then. It's not like we're like, doing stuff. We get into bed and we lay there silent and try to watch TV. And then the next thing you know, we're just out for the count. Yeah.
Well, if you sleep
not
from
complaining.
7:30 to 6:30, that's 11 hours. That's not bad at all.
I want 7:30 7:30 is really, actually, I want 8 to 7:30. 8 to 7:30 would be a dream.
Why don't you keep making that laundry list of what you're expecting along the way, and let me know how he sticks.
Yeah, I know. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. Oh my gosh. And Elena, how old is your daughter or son? I forgot.
Tomorrow his 5th birthday, so he's gonna be 5 tomorrow. Yes.
My
I'm
God.
going picking up balloons. I already have the cake. Everything is planned. This birthday party is a shark party. He's got into sharks.
Okay.
Our favorite, he loves cartoons, but he also loves documentaries. So recently we discovered documentary Crocs versus sharks. Who is the predator? Who is the prey? How they interact. And he's like looking at all this, them eating each other. He's so excited. He's like, Mom,
Wait,
I
did
want
you start
shark."
kindergarten this year or he will start kindergarten?
He just started pre-K because he's October
Oh,
baby.
pre-K.
So they don't
Pre-K.
let him start earlier. So
Right.
he'll be the oldest among, the kids in his class. He's amazing. This is the
I know.
perfect
I'm
age.
glad you
That's
guys
a good age.
brought up what am I doing with the second embryo? I don't know. I mean, Judy and I have talked about it. I just don't know. I don't.
I'm in
One
camp.
day
You should
I'm
do
like,
it.
yes. The next day I'm like, I don't know.
What do you
It's
think you would regret? Which way do you think you might regret more?
It's just like having the energy, having the time of, managing a toddler and being pregnant and then having another newborn. Like, I don't know.
That's
And
only 9 months, though. I mean, it's like I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate because
oh,
yes,
totally.
I'm in camp. Heather should do it again. Yes, but my
know-
thing is, after raising 4 children and 3 of them all a year apart in age, it is at times very difficult because they're close in age. But at the other hand, it's much easier because they
But I'm
have.
also the biggest fear I think that I have too is the fact that I'm 48. I'll be 49 in November, which means I probably wouldn't give birth until I'm 50. And I'm sort of like, is that too old? We've gone back and forth on this. Is that too old? Like, is that not right to do to a
For,
newborn?
for me, when I'm thinking about those things, right now, you kind of, your journey is on high, right? You had a success, you have a child. I do want you to be aware that you might transfer this female embryo and not get pregnant. So
Right.
do you want to finish
and
on a
that is-
negative sort of, and like have those regrets, like, oh, I start dreaming about a girl, a daughter, and then, it does not
It
succeed.
doesn't pan out. And listen, like Michael and I said, that this is all a path and whatever is supposed to be is supposed to be. So if we did do the embryo transfer and I didn't get pregnant, then it wasn't meant to be. It just
Right.
wasn't meant to
So
be.
you'll be fine with that. You'll be
I'm
okay.
fine with that too. I have one. I'm thrilled with one. I think that Michael and I also think about it. So like, it would be nice for Fritz to have a sister, like that. Michael said this a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh, like we don't want him to be alone at 40 if we should, have here, like, oh my God, like that is just hard. And he would never be alone, right? My niece, my nephew, my cousins, everybody, like he would never be alone. But the fact of the matter is that, mortality, it's just, you have something, you got to think about it, I don't know.
Side of that, I had Lindsay and then I adopted 3 other children. And with that thought of she wouldn't have to be alone, she wouldn't have to make hard decisions about my health care or whatever when I'm old and she's an adult. And what ended up happening, they don't have a relationship with each other.
I
There's
know.
Lindsay and there's the other 3. And it isn't because of age, it's because they don't like each other, because they're not people who are compatible. And
Yeah.
so you can have all the greatest thoughts and plans of how you think your trajectory of your family is going to go, and it blows up. So you need to be in the moment. And what do you want at this moment? What are you ready for at this
So
moment?
funny. I wish I had
years
an
from
answer
now, you
for it. I
don't know.
still don't have an answer. I still don't have an answer.
Also
Well,
important to think of you as a couple, as a family, because children are big stressor on you as a couple with Michael. So just also think about it, not just what's best for Fritz, you want to have a sister, but us, will we have enough us time with Michael? Are we still gonna have?
Like, don't get me wrong. I think that with every new parent, like you're like, well, you were supposed to do this. No, you were supposed to do this. No, I said I was going to do this. You were supposed to do this, and like we work around it pretty well that we're like, okay, we need to be kind to one another. Like, I've got this, you've got that. If it doesn't work out, like we're very kind and we're not, I don't think that we as a couple would have any more stress on us. I think it's more stress on us that we're both like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Flip the coin.
And if that's our biggest stress, then
Once you make that decision, that piece of stress will go away, whichever
Yeah.
way you decide to go. And I just think you'll know deep in your heart, because I understand the age thing. I certainly do. I don't know how I would feel about having a baby at 50. I don't know.
Yeah. Like,
I've never been in that position to make that decision. I mean, when we adopted the 3 younger kids, I was 40.
right.
Oh, and I do know that through my 40s, I was extremely busy with 4 children.
Right. Like I'm
And
going to
through
be
my-
extremely busy in my 50s.
Well, but then again, you're a very young person for your age. One would never guess. You are definitely at least 10 years younger looking and acting than
Thanks,
you
Pam.
are.
35, I would not believe
You
Really, I mean, Heather, you look fabulous. And secondly, it's what you feel you need to close your family. Is your
Yeah.
family complete or is it not? If you do truly feel it's complete, that's your answer. If you are not quite sure, that year is going to go one way or the other. I mean, you're either going to be pregnant or you're not, but that year is still going to travel along.
But I do need to make this decision, believe it or not, soon. Like
Ab-
at first I feel like we've put it off. We're like, well, when Fritz is 1, I mean, first of all, Sheer Fertility won't see me until he's at least 1. So so I'm like, we got a year. We'll think about it then. I'm like, holy shit, it's gonna be a year. Like, where did that go?
Yeah.
Goes fast.
Goes real fast. So yeah. Well, guys, it was so good to see you today. Let's do it again. Let's do it
Have
again.
have a wonderful day, Heather. Thank you so much.
And anytime you need me, please, I'm here. Just say the word.
It's nice meeting you guys too.
Bye, Judy. I'll talk to you 1,000 times another time.
Absolutely. Give that
I
baby
love
a
you. I
kiss.
mean it. Mwah.
Have a good
Thank you so